Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. We're back. This is Sisters Unfiltered, and my name is Nikki.
And I'm Candy.
And we're gonna give you an update tonight. Just some background information from this judge of from Mississippi. If I remember him correctly, he was on that was that young man named Jolie from where was he from? Pope that was killed by that guy in Oxford. I think he was initially on that either he was the attorney or he was the judge or something, and he recused
Hmm.
himself. You don't remember?
I don't remember that.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna have to go back and look it up. I done got sidetracked. But let's get into it. Oh no.
Oh no.
Wait. Give us a little time. We working over here. We working it. I think I'm gonna change it up a little bit. Yeah.
Hello, friends. Come on in. I'm Judge Carlos Moore. I'm a retired municipal judge out of Mississippi. I served for 6.5 years on the bench in not only Clarksdale, Mississippi, but I served for 4 years on the bench in Grenada, Mississippi. So come on in, invite your friends, invite your family, invite your relatives. If you want to hear a real person's experience with experience as a judge in Mississippi opinion about whether or not there shouldn't be an immediate arrest or arrest of those suspected of foul play in relation to the death of Nolan Wells off the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Come on in and hear it from the horse's mouth. Someone who had the authority to sign not only search warrants, but arrest warrants. Someone who presided over initial appearances, arraignments, and preliminary hearings for those accused of murder and other heinous crimes in Mississippi. I can talk now that I am a retired judge. Had I still been sitting as an active judge, I could not give you my opinion about an ongoing matter. But now I'm a retired judge and I'm a practicing lawyer in Tennessee. And I reside in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And I know the law and I can give you my unfiltered opinion about what I believe should be occurring now or in the near future. Come on in. I have time tonight. I have time. And I'll be happy to give you my opinions, and then I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. It's time out for playing games. It's time to know the truth from someone well versed in it that has actual experience. I've worn the robe, the black robe, and I've presided over these trials or preliminary hearings, arraignments, and initial appearances. Let's get started. So what do we know? We know after watching the parents' interview and reviewing tons of footage from social media, recounting interviews and statements of alleged witnesses that were on Horn Island, we know that Nolan Wells went to spend the night on July the 3rd with his so-called friends. And he went with those so-called friends to Horn Island on a boat on July the 4th. We know that out of the 4 people on that boat, one did not return home. That one person was Nolan Wells. The other three returned home as normal and said nothing to any member of law enforcement or to the Coast Guard until at least 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th. We know that at least one of the so-called friends was found with the phone of Nolan Wells. And we know this based on the testimony of the parents, specifically the mother, who tracked the phone and was led to the home of one of the young men where she retrieved the phone. We also know that based on the mother's testimony that Snapchat, there were no Snapchats from the day, which was very odd for her son. We also know that text messages were deleted. We know that when she was tracking the phone, Life 360 said the phone was one place and Snapchat said it was another place. We know that the boy that had the phone did not voluntarily turn it over or call first. He had to be found through their own investigation. We know that based on witnesses' account, the so-called friends were seen on July the 5th, that Sunday, having breakfast together like nothing had happened. They were not out there searching for their so-called friend. We know that the so-called friends deleted their social media, deactivated their accounts, and scrubbed it clean if the allegations are correct. We know that the young men or the young man that had the car at his house did not willingly turn over the keys. At first, he said that he did not have the keys. He didn't know where they were. Then he, after being pressed by the father, he finally turned over the keys. This is all very suspicious activity.
Mm-hmm.
We know that based on an audio recording and some video that Nolan Wells can be heard saying, "Give me my freaking keys." Excuse me, "Give me my freaking phone." And there's been two different versions. Some said he said, "Give me my freaking phone," or some say he said, "Give me my ML phone." Regardless, he was asking or demanding his phone. Someone had his phone who did not have permission to have his phone. So the first thing I see, the simplest thing I see, is who had his phone and why, and was that theft of the phone? Sometimes we look at the largest case, we try to get to murder, but the person that took his phone committed a crime right there. There are witnesses to who took that phone. If an affidavit is signed, an arrest warrant could be signed by a judge in Mississippi to go after that person that had that phone unlawfully. We know, based on his own words, Nolan Wells' words while he was alive, he did not give whoever had that phone permission to have that phone. So was that theft? I think if an affidavit is signed, if it was presented to me when I was a judge, I would have signed an arrest warrant for the person for theft of that phone, based on what I've heard. It'd have to be an affidavit format, but if it was presented to me in affidavit format from law enforcement, I would sign the arrest warrant for, at least at this point, theft of the man's phone. We know who had it. We know who didn't report it to the family. The family had to go find it, and we know that Nolan Wells said, "Give it back to him," and evidently it was not given back to him. Why was that? All of the other things I've stated, you piece it together. Is there enough right now for arrest warrants for murder? That is a good question. I do know at this point there should have been search warrants signed by a judge. Evidence should have been presented to a judge by now. We are nearly 7 days after July the 4th, when he was first reported missing. There should have been evidence submitted by Jackson County law enforcement agents, the sheriff's department specifically, presented to a judge so that search warrants could be signed by the judge, and there needs to be, or should have been, someone questioning the young men, the three so-called friends, and others, and the social media accounts need to be searched by now, or at least a search warrant should have been issued for the appropriate entities to give the law enforcement access to the social media information. That should have been done by now. I'm not telling you what I imagine. I'm telling you what the process usually is when you're trying to do a thorough investigation. And based on what's revealed from a thorough investigation, I do believe once the evidence is secured, it's going to lead, and it should lead, to the arrest of one or more individuals for the murder of Nolan Wells. All of the actions are very suspicious, and right now they lead one to believe that one or more persons could have been involved with the death of Nolan Wells.
Oh no. Oh, what I did.
Mm.
I don't know what to think. Okay, so let's process some of the stuff that he said already. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Which part?
What everything he said up until now.
Okay, so I just agree with the part where he's saying that it should have been some arrests made by now. They should have searched their social media. That is very true. The guy who had his keys, the guy who had his car, both of those guys should have been subpoenaed. They should have been questioned by now. And I don't think that they have. I don't think I've ever seen a case where the parents are just like, nope, nope, we're not going to talk. They're not going to talk. The fact that they didn't go out and look, they didn't offer condolences, and they were having breakfast the next morning like nothing had happened.
I mean, when the dad went to the door, he said the young man was sleeping.
I mean, they could have just been, saying that because they didn't want to go to the door.
No, he didn't say he said he was sleeping. He said he looked like he was waking up.
That's
So,
wow.
so the young
That's
man didn't say that he was sleeping.
and
Um,
the recording saying, "Give me my phone." Get, not gonna say what I really want to say, but yeah, I'm gonna say it. If the roles were reversed, then we would already have somewhat of some answers. I mean, because people have been prosecuted for way less. Mm,
And so up until this point, Judge Carlos has made some good points.
very good point.
But we I guess we do have to follow a law though when it comes to them lawyering up, you know.
But here's the thing: when the law's not on our side, then what? So we get this information, we subpoena them, we find out hypothetically that they did, in fact, do something.
Well,
Who's to say they're not going to whitewash that thing? This is Mississippi we're talking about.
I know, but
They're
we
not even interested in
well,
finding out what happened. That's the way that it seems.
well, with all of the big ballers that's in place now, something is gonna take place. There's too many big ballers in place, so they can't have Mississippi looking like what they really are. I mean, that's all I'm saying. He from Mississippi too, you know.
Yeah,
So
he's,
all the people can get on here and say whatever they want to say, but again, we were born and bred.
yeah.
All right, let's move.
Provided alcohol, um, those individuals could be immediately arrested based on if there was any sworn testimony presented to a judge. I believe a judge could immediately sign an arrest warrant for those who provided alcohol to underage individuals. There's a lot of people and a lot of potential crimes, some misdemeanors and felonies that people could be held accountable for. Um, was there any boating while intoxicated? Who was the captain of the boat? And what did he allow on his boat? Um, if there were any illegal drugs possessed by anyone. Um, uh, Drugs are still illegal in Mississippi, at least they were when I was on the bench.
And see, you see, he's talking because that's how they get our boys caught up. You know, they start with the little stuff small, the little stuff first, the small stuff first. And then when they get them for that, then the
That's what I'm
charge.
saying. Yeah. So somebody could have been picked up for a couple of reasons. And then who was driving the boat and what did he see?
Drug possession, drug use, selling of drugs, dealing drugs, trafficking drugs. We've heard testimony or allegations at least. I don't think anything's been put in affidavit format yet um, about rampant drug use among certain individuals. So,
You know what? They are saying that because I don't know if it was, I want to say that it was Ben Crump that said um, Nolan didn't want to partake in any of that stuff because he was getting ready to
I
do
heard that
like
he's an athlete. Yep.
his
Yep.
football stuff, so he couldn't have anything in his system. That's kind of, you know, wow that they bringing all this out. So you know they bringing this out now. That's not a one time thing.
there are a lot of things that's been alleged. Once put into the correct format, affidavit wise, it could lead to arrest for several things, including misdemeanors and maybe even felonies. So there's a lot left to do. We are not rushing to judgment, but I just thought I would come on here and tell you that there definitely should be search warrants issued by now, and there could be arrest warrants for certain crimes issued by now. Um, but for the ultimate crime of murder, uh, it is probably wise to wait to see what the autopsy reveals, or the both autopsies reveal, and then parse that together with all the video footage all the witness statements taken, any affidavits gathered, uh, and then make a decision, get it all to a judge at that point, for a judge to decide whether or not to sign a warrant for the arrest of one or more individuals. Um, it would be very interesting to see what the autopsy shows. Um, there's also the potential for kidnapping. Um, it needs to be looked at whether or not they can get to murder. Was there kidnapping? Was this young man taken somewhere against his will at any point? Uh, was there abuse of a corpse even after he died? So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at um, from various law enforcement perspectives. Law enforcement has to do their job and get the information to a judge in the right format before a judge can act. Um, had I still been on the bench, if I wanted to act, I could not act unilaterally. I would have to wait till law enforcement brought me the evidence in the right format before I could sign an arrest warrant, before I could sign a search warrant. And so that's how the process works. Um, that's how the process works. And so I am happy to be a retired judge. I'm always going to shoot it to you straight with no chaser. Straight with no chaser. I will tell you the God honest truth. I can tell you this one thing. I may have been born at night, but I was not born last night. And one thing about it, you cannot fool the informed. I've been on the inside. I know the process. And we will not sit quietly and allow this to be swept under the rug.
That's right.
I will call your hand. I will call your hand. You're not going to play these people for a fool. You are not going to play these people for a fool. We know the process. We know what you should be doing. And by God, I plan to make sure you do it. Or we're going to call you out each and every time. There is a process. What I do know is, had the roles been reversed, by now, there would likely have been already arrests made. It wouldn't have taken all 6 days, 7 days, whatever the amount of days it's going to take. Had the roles been reversed, the wheels of justice spin quickly. Somebody would have been arrested for something by now.
Already.
But since the roles are what they are, we are expected to be patient, and they're going to cross every T and they're going to dot every I in the investigation before they make a move because of the people that are potentially involved. And that's the way the criminal justice system works, unfortunately. If you have access to power or money, in some instances, if you're the right color or the right hue, you will get the benefit of the doubt. And regardless of all of that, based on what I've heard, not in the affidavits I've seen, if the affidavits come to support what I've heard, I do believe, especially with the autopsy, once that is in, and then if we look at the body to see if there were any bruises or anything else, it should lead to the arrest of one or more individuals for murder, for accessory to murder, for conspiracy to commit murder, aggravated assault, kidnapping, and a list of other possible things. But right now, I could say that based on that video evidence of him demanding his phone back, someone could immediately be arrested for theft, wrongful conversion of his property.
You know, this video is going viral, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All the should have, so what should have happened. It's just like the to playing devil's advocate to say it's a process, but then also to say that if the roles were reversed, the process, the ball would have gotten moved a whole lot faster. So wow, that's wow.
I mean, but like he said, even then he couldn't. If he was on the bench, he couldn't sign anything until the evidence was brought to
And I
him.
understand. I understand that part of what he's saying, but I also understand the other part of what he's saying.
Well, it ain't nothing we can do about it.
Facts.
Sit and hope that it turns out in the favor.
Isn't this becoming a norm though?
Oh, absolutely,
Sitting back and just hoping, and
absolutely.
it's 2026.
But what you gonna do? What you gonna
You
do?
don't know what I. You don't want to know. You don't really want me to say that. You don't really want me to say that.
Okay, let's get moving.
So, and once you make that first arrest, you start putting pressure on people. Um, it becomes very serious at that point. No one wants their loved ones uh, sitting behind bars, even jail bars, definitely not prison bars. So it becomes very serious at that point, and there are persons of interest um, that should have been interviewed by now, should have been questioned, picked up, and taken to the station, even if they didn't voluntarily go. There are certain people that should be classified as suspects by now. They should not just be persons of interest. They should be actual suspects. Uh, I do not agree with the sheriff saying right now foul play is not suspected. He should have said right now it is too early to tell one way or the other if he was going to say anything and try to be fair and impartial. Because
And
all of
he,
this suspicious stuff.
and he said that on day one, wasn't it? Or whatever day it was that they found him.
I don't necessarily know if it was day one. It wasn't too far after that.
Well, the day that they found him
Mm-hmm.
is when he said it.
Which is crazy because why? How could you even say that so soon on a healthy athlete? Like, how could you really just say that?
Right, starting on Monster Supper.
Suspicion and the actions of the individuals themselves lead you to believe
That's what it
that
is.
something is awry
Right.
and the stories are not adding up. The stories are not adding up. So if you believed that he stayed with a young lady, why were you calling the Coast Guard at 11 p.m. at night on July the 4th?
Mm.
And why did the Coast Guard somehow forget that and then remember it? And um, it's just very strange. And why would you lawyer up before there is even a body found? If my best friend died by drowning accidentally, the last thing I'm going to be doing is hiring a lawyer. I'm going to be too busy grieving my friend's accidental death. And I would not, in my wildest imagination, ever think that anyone would suspect me of a crime. Accidents happen all of the time. All of the time. And one thing about it, if I had been there when he drowned, I would probably been so exhausted from trying to save him that I wouldn't have time to think about hiring a lawyer or my parents to think about hiring a lawyer. And if I am recalling things correctly, I do believe that one of those young people's parents went out to the island. Now, this is a bunch of young folks. I believe one of the mothers got on Facebook and said she went to the island at some point. Why was she there? What was she doing? She was not in their age group. I don't know too many parents that go to a teenage gathering or a young person's gathering. What was she doing? I'm curious to know. I'm not even on the bench anymore, but I'm very curious to know what she was out there doing and who she may have been coaching,
And why hasn't she been
or what she may
subpoenaed?
have been an accessory to.
Oh,
It's very odd that she was out there, because I'm sure she was not on the guest list. When I tell you I'm tired, it's because I am.
Okay.
It's time for us to have the knowledge. I got my law degree in 2002. So you're looking at somebody that has nearly a quarter of a century of experience in the legal realm. I spent 6.5 years on the bench. I am not going to mislead you because too many of us have gone along to get along for too long. I have to meet my makers face in peace. I have to look myself in the mirror. I'm not going to betray you. Enough is enough is enough. I know no one wants to see their loved one go to prison or be held accountable. But if the shoe fits, you might as well get ready to wear it. No one is above the law. And if you can't do your job because you're friends with certain people, you need to recuse yourself. Recuse yourself and let somebody that can do their job correctly do it. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone may have about the process or anything I just said. There is a criminal justice process. And I know how things should go. And when they don't go as they should, you have to ask yourself why. Again, I'm Judge Carlos Moore. I've been coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia. I've been living here now nearly 3 years. But Mississippi is home. The Gulf Coast is home. I know several members of the Wells family and the Wansley family, and again, they have my deepest condolences for their loss. It's tragic. Tragic folks that you trusted your loved one to spend time with. Left an island without having the decency to account for your son.
Now that's a big thing right there. Because the stepmom came on and she gave that little thesis and put it on Facebook. But it makes me wonder if she's been over to the house to speak with mom since she claimed that Nolan was like a part of the family. But from what we're understanding, there's been nothing.
That's
Birds.
what I'm saying.
Chirp.
Nothing. Nothing. No help. No condolences. No. Here's what happened. We feel bad. Just
we lawyered up.
Yeah.
We
And the
lawyered up.
judge lady Ashley talking about her family's receiving death threats. But did you die?
Did you die though?
Yeah, that's not. You don't want to have any empathy for Nolan's family, but you want somebody to have some empathy for your family. Like it makes sense.
That's good. That's good. Yep.
I don't understand. Let's just sit back and see what color the wall gonna be.
That's sad. I can't imagine the level of pain. And I've heard some people say that the Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division should come in and investigate, or the FBI, MBI, who actually has jurisdiction to do this. Those are good questions. We may need more assistance besides the local law enforcement to get down to the bottom of this. If there's anyone that's truly willing to live up to the oath they took, they swore as a law enforcement officer, as a judge, if you're willing to live up to that oath and be unbiased and do a true investigation and consider the facts fairly, please step up. And if you can't do the job fairly, please step aside. This is too serious. You have too many educated people watching this case now, and we're not going to let you get away with
Okay.
um, murder, potentially, with no one being held accountable. We're not going to do it. Whoever did something untoward needs to be held accountable, needs to go before a jury of their peers, and need to let that jury of their peers decide their guilt or innocence. The standards for an arrest warrant is simple, probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. The judge has to have probable cause, more likely than not, that a crime has been committed for an arrest warrant to be signed. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt, it's probable cause, more likely than not. That's a very low burden to meet. And the evidence needs to get to a judge pretty soon. We know that won't be the end all, just because there will be an arrest at some point. I do believe it's still going to be a long process. The local judge, the municipal judge, as I was, will have to do the arraignment and decide whether or not the individual or individuals get bail and what that bail amount will be. If it's a capital offense or if it's a first degree murder charge or manslaughter charge or whatever it may be, kidnapping, aggravated assault, that the judge will have to set bail or decide or deny it. Will the persons be flight risk? All that has to be taken into consideration. From there, there will be a preliminary hearing likely where the evidence will be presented to that local judge, who will get to decide whether or not to bind it over to a grand jury or dismiss the charge. Once it's bound over to a grand jury, it'll be up to the grand jury to decide what to actually indict the individuals for. And then once there is an indictment or indictments are secured, individuals will have to stand trial, or if they plead not guilty, they get to stand trial. Otherwise, if they plead guilty, it could go immediately to sentencing. You would expect, based on what I've seen so far, that there won't be any guilty pleas automatically, and this probably will go to trial. You have contradicting stories. You have Katie that's saying one thing. You have the young man that's saying another.
I forgot all about that.
About what?
I see Katie has not lawyered up.
Girl.
Yeah, because Katie is saying that he said he was going back on the boat with his friends, and his friends are saying he told them that he was going to be with Katie. But like he said, Katie hadn't lowered up, and they said Katie has cooperated with the police.
Katie is probably telling the damn truth.
More than likely. More than likely. Nothing to hide. I just wonder what it is that she's told. I mean, she may not know too much since she wasn't on the boat.
Right. Right. He wasn't with her.
But enough to get, when he was
The ball
talking.
rolling to get somebody. It's almost like they're giving them enough time to get their stories super straight
They
or
did
something.
that already.
Yeah.
That's been done. That has been done. Okay. Last few minutes.
From what I have been told, and she's been speaking freely, and her family's been speaking freely. Whereas I understand that some others have decided not to speak to the press and have lawyered up. And people are entitled in this country. You are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. There's nothing wrong with lawyering up. In fact, if it was my family, I would advise my family to remain quiet too. That's what lawyers do. We advise them to remain quiet. They have a right to remain quiet. And a lot of times you remain quiet for good reason. Because anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. But people also have a right to be suspicious of why individuals lawyered up so fast. Why are they not talking? This is serious. It's serious business. People's potential freedom are on the line, and somebody has lost their life.
Because who lawyers up when they don't know nothing?
People with a background in law enforcement,
People that
or
know
or or,
something.
or people
People
who've
that know
known, or yeah, or a judge. Yeah,
Someone has lost their life. At least the people that's alive still have a fighting chance. We
something.
right.
never know what a jury in Mississippi will do. We do know that no one ever was held accountable for Emmett Till's
Mm,
murder,
that's
despite the
good.
evidence, the overwhelming evidence. No one was ever held accountable. I can only hope and pray that in 2026, 2027, should the facts be presented to a jury of peers, that it'll be given reasonable consideration, and that if the facts are proven beyond a reasonable doubt, that the individuals that may soon be arrested and tried um, for the death, for their role in the death of Nolan Wells, will be held accountable. That's all we can hope and pray for, and we will have to live with whatever the jury's verdict is, because in this country, if you go through the entire process, we live with the verdict of the jury. It has to be a unanimous verdict, and they get to decide guilt or an acquittal. And if they cannot agree, it's a hung jury, and the prosecution gets to decide if they try the case again. They can continue to try it again until they get a unanimous decision one way or the other. So it's gonna be a long road ahead. Keep the Wells and ones that's family in your prayers. They have to deal with all of this in a very public light. They are not allowed to grieve privately because of the very public nature of this death. And so it's a lot to process. One day your life is going as normal, and the next day you are thrown in the limelight. But I applaud the parents for standing together and fighting for answers. They have been very good. They are not accusing anybody of anything. They're just
So he's basically just saying what everybody's been thinking, you know. But everybody I guess can't say it because we don't have that background. He has the background to be able to say the things that he said, if that makes sense.
It makes sense when we don't have the background, but we do have a little bit of common sense when it comes to things of this nature. And
But
some of the things that he was confirmed is almost like confirmation. It's
common sense don't work in the court of law.
a lot of stuff don't work in the court of law apparently,
But we talking
and
about
that goes back to what I was saying about okay, and then once they do or don't, what happens? It could be an acquittal, it could be a hung jury, it could be nothing at all. Like he said, this is the damn state of Mississippi we're talking about. That's wild. In 2026.
So it's important to note that no arrests have been announced, no official cause or manner of death has been released, and the investigation remains active. The views discussed are Carlos Moore's legal opinions and are not official findings by law enforcement. What do you think about Carlos Moore's analysis? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. Don't forget that word respectfully. If you appreciate fact based true coverage on news, be sure to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you never miss an update from Sisters Unfiltered. All right.
Peace.
All right.